Uncover and Elevate is the next evolution of Liberate Your People Pleaser. I'm Brenda Florida, certified life coach, and after coaching hundreds of clients, I am unapologetically clear on this. People pleasing is a symptom with a deeper cause. Being in a toxic relationship or career and feeling trapped has a deeper cause. Avoiding difficult conversations has a deeper cause. Self-sabotage, imposter syndrome, confusion, feeling insecure, all have a deeper cause. In Uncover and Elevate, we are going to look under the hood every week to uncover what the deeper causes are that shape our lives, including the ones that make breaking a pattern, even when we want to break, so hard. Then we will elevate our lives with tools designed to transform those deeper causes and deal with the symptoms. Join me each week as we uncover and elevate our lives. And now, here's this week's episode of Uncover and Elevate. Let's talk about worthiness today. We are starting a new year. If you were listening to this in real time, it is actually January 1st. So happy New Year, everyone. And I felt like there was no better place to start than with this conversation around worthiness. So I wonder, how would you rate yourself, let's say on a scale of 1 to 10, with how worthy you feel? Now, that may not be as simple of a question as it could even appear on the surface, because I think that there are certain things usually where we might have a high sense of worthiness, like say professionally. And we know we're really great at what we do and we're worthy of getting paid what we deserve and blah, blah, blah. And all that works great for you. And maybe it's in romance where you start to feel like you don't deserve something or you're asking too much is another way that a lack of feeling worthy will create, is that thought of, well, you just want too much. You want too much professionally, you want too much financially, you want too much romantically, in like lifestyle adventure, traveling, whatever, those kinds of things. When you have that message in your mind somewhere that you're probably just expecting too much, you're being greedy, whatever, that is a good sign that you don't feel worthy in that area of your life. So first of all, I want you just to know that worthiness is not a blanket, total on for yes or a total off for no. Okay. First of all, it's a spectrum like all things are. And you can have it in one part of your life and not have it so much in another. So for most of us, this sense of unworthiness gets embedded in us at a very young age. Like for me, part of it was even growing up in the religion that I grew up with, and this whole idea of original sin, and whether you believe in that or you even know what I mean when I say that. The concept is that we are born sinners, and so we need to be saved. And even that doctrine really got inside my own soul and psyche as a way of like, oh, great. So from the minute I was born, I was flawed and defective. Now, not everyone raised in a church who believes in original sin comes out of it with that, but I did, as well as a bunch of other things that happened in my family, sexual abuse when I was little. Like there were a lot of different things that I can look back on now and see how that embedded in me this sense of unworthiness. So I want you to know, first of all, that if you relate to this feeling of unworthiness, it comes from somewhere. And it's not necessarily required that you figure that out, but it can be super helpful because it can kind of click in and make certain things make sense. But I want to share with you, well, before I do that, a way to have insight into it is to see where you are triggered by it today, right? Like if you have a financial challenge or something's up in your romantic life or professional life or something like that, and you're really feeling triggered into that some version of you're not enough, or you're too much. The whole too much thing can actually cause it, because that can be, for those of us, and this has happened to me a lot in my life, a lot of people have looked at me and said I was just too much, and that is not a compliment, and so that whole there's something wrong with me. So look at where those triggers are and see where a lack of worthiness could be the cause of it. And the other aspect of it that can make this a little tricky is that these are things that often when we say it out loud, like if I were to say out loud, I feel unworthy of a romantic relationship where I'm really seen and heard and adored for who I am. Well, as soon as I say that out loud, I'm like, well, that's not true. I don't believe that, because in my conscious mind, I don't really believe that. I believe I am absolutely worthy of that. But subconsciously, this is where we get into that, 90 to 95% of what's really going on in our thoughts and our feelings come out of the subconscious. So I promise you that subconsciously, I have felt that way for years. And so what happens often in our journey is something on the outside will come up in our lives, some kind of challenge, or usually it's some kind of challenging situation that will trigger some sort of crisis, where if we will keep digging that sort of looking under the hood thing that I talk about a lot, then we can realize, oh, wait a minute, that, when you kind of brush away all the dust and debris, that's a worthiness issue. I don't feel like I'm worthy. And no, I would never say that out loud, because it wouldn't sound right to me. I don't believe it consciously, but subconsciously, I am obviously harboring a belief about not being worthy. So I want to share with you today on this podcast. This is actually the first time I've shared this, and it is a video. It's on my YouTube channel. I'll start posting it on social in the next couple weeks. And if you're on my email list, I'm going to email it out on Tuesday, January 3rd. But this is a very intimate video that, of course, you're going to hear it in this podcast as an audio, but that I recorded recently that sort of tells my story of coming to this awareness that a sense of unworthiness was really at the root of the challenges I was facing in my life. So I am going to switch over here from my podcast microphone and play for you this video, and it will wrap up with an invitation for you to book a 15-minute call with me to explore coaching together. You can get that link in our show notes. But when this video is over and I give that, invitation, I will come back to you here on the podcast. So hang on after that. I was trapped in a cycle of emotional, mental, and physical torment. And the cause was unworthiness. Unworthiness had been deeply rooted in my life, and it had been following me for 50 years. I had launched out on my entrepreneurial journey with my online coaching practice. I took all the right courses and did all the right things. I had an incredibly positive attitude. I couldn't imagine anything but success. But nothing was working. I spent all my money. I went bankrupt. I gave up my apartment to keep from being evicted. And still, I kept thinking, next month, things will be better. Next month, next month, next month. Until I'm in my car Googling homeless shelters because I had nowhere to live in 2 days. And trying to figure out how to have a car accident that looks like an accident and not suicide. As tormented and trapped as I felt, I knew the horrible circumstances of my life were symptoms of a deeper problem, and I needed help. I needed a professional to look under the hood and help me discover what root cause was keeping me trapped. So I took the leap of faith and I found the help I needed. The work I did guided me through a discovery process where I realized unworthiness was at the root of all those symptoms. You see, I was raised in a very conservative evangelical church and family. I was taught I was a sinner, taught I was unworthy, taught that I was undeserving of success or greatness of any kind. And I believed it. I had unconsciously internalized it. And even though I left the church and those beliefs in my 30s, and I'd experienced financial and professional success, underneath it all, I still believed I was unworthy. What have you been taught? What limiting beliefs are trapping you? What symptoms are begging for your attention? Society conditions us to believe that we should be able to carry all of our burdens and solve all of our problems alone. I am here to challenge that belief. You don't need to figure it out alone. In fact, you weren't meant to figure it out alone. And that doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you incapable. It makes you human. I'm a certified life coach. I'm trained to help people solve problems. Let me help. There are things you have forgotten, but they are still under your hood. I'm Brenda Florida, certified life coach, and I would love to have a free 15-minute connection call with you. You don't need to figure out what's under your hood alone, but you do need to visit the link in my bio. I can't wait to connect. Right. So that was the video that I'm releasing here today the first time. So you might have learned some things about my story that you didn't know until now. I share it because I want you to know that wherever you may be at in your worthiness journey, I am here to partner with you in that healing. I don't have a magic wand. I don't fix things for people. But what I do is facilitate the kind of healing that I received so that your sense of worthiness can be restored, because it's there. It's not like you don't have it and we've got to go find it or something, which is what unfortunately we do end up doing. We try to find it outside of ourselves, in lovers, in clothes, in hobbies, in education, in professional advancement, in money, whatever. But no matter how well you do at any of those things, they will not cover up the sense of unworthiness. It is an inner job, and I am here for it. So I want to invite you to go to the show notes and click on the link to book a 15-minute call. And let's see if working with me is right for you, if now's the right time, if I'm the right coach. And then I want to also give you one of my favorite tools so you can just try something, on your own. I will tell you, in this issue of worthiness, it is a very challenging issue to work on alone. That's why even in the midst of how broke I was, and I still can't imagine how I did this exactly, I found people to help me, because it's so deep and it's so, I don't know, like it's that the way it's so internally embedded, it's very hard for us to heal from it alone. It's really helpful to have a facilitator, which is what I do. But here's something you can try yourself. I want you just to think of, you can see yourself sort of in the worst light. Like I used to think all the time I was flawed and defective. And so I want you just to think about that part of yourself, visualize him or her feeling so flawed, so defective, so unworthy. And then as like this wise, ideal parent or grandparent or divine, if you want to, make it sort of otherworldly, it could be an angel, it could be the divine. It can be anything. I want you to write a love letter to yourself about how worthy you actually are without doing a thing. You don't have to earn worthiness. We cannot earn worthiness. Worthiness is our birthright. And so write yourself this love letter of your worth because you're here, because you're a human being, because you're breathing. You are worthy. You are loved. You have many gifts and talents that the world cannot wait to hear and see from you. And it doesn't matter how somebody else treated you or what you've experienced before, or, like it was so easy for me in this terrible financial time that lasted for a long time to think like it was some kind of punishment or some kind of proof that I wasn't worthy. None of that is true. The wise part of you knows you are loved and you are worthy without doing anything, and nothing about your circumstances is here to punish you. It's here for you actually to see this part of you that needs healing so badly. So I want you to start you off with this year with this idea of worthiness, and let you know also, just as a little teaser, I'm going to be doing a worthiness workshop probably towards the end of the month. And so you'll hear more about that, and follow me for sure on Instagram so you see the posts about that. Email me if you want to be sure you don't miss it, then just shoot me an email and say you want to be the first to know when I launch my worthiness workshop. And I'll be sure that you're on my email list and that I reach out to you personally, because it's going to be a great workshop. I just don't have the dates and all the details settled. So let me know if you want to know more about that. And let's make 2023 the year of feeling deeply and truly worthy. Thank you for joining me for this week's episode of Uncover and Elevate. Check out the show notes for tons of great information and resources, like if you're interested in being a guest on the podcast so we can uncover and elevate an issue in your life, just complete the form in the show notes. You can follow me on Instagram at Brenda Florida Coach. You can work with me one-on-one or get additional information about one of my group or private retreats by completing the form in the show notes. And I would love it if you would share this episode on social and tag me. I'd also love for you to post a 5-star review wherever you get your podcasts. It makes such a big difference and will help others find the show, and I'll be incredibly grateful. This is Brenda Florida, certified life coach, and I'll see you in the next episode of Uncover and Elevate.